Welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures. Today's adventure brings us to Calico Ghost Town. Stick around. So normally we would just come to Calico Ghost Town for the day. It's only about 40-45 minutes, from the home. But we've got some family with us this weekend, and we decided to go ahead and try to camp up here. I've never done that before. So we went ahead and camped in the lower campground, the O campground. We've got some full hookups, which is kind of why we chose this place to camp. I'm not gonna lie, spaces, they're a little tight. But it's pretty nice. So this is just a view of the lower campground area, and like I mentioned, you can see it's kind of tight, but not too bad. Very nicely kept, some very nice bathroom facilities with showers, and even some little cabins you can rent. So we're just gonna mosey on back down to camp, get in the old excursion there and run that up to the ghost town. Come along. Calico Ghost Town is located in the Mojave Desert of Southern California, just east of Barstow and close to the 15 freeway. You can actually see the town name high on the mountains from the freeway below. Much of the town was destroyed by fire in 1883, but a second mining boom in 1884 brought as many as 3,000 residents to Calico, and the town was rebuilt. Buildings made from adobe would survive the fire, and some are still standing today. In 1875, prospectors found silver on the south slope of the Calico Mountains. Additional ore discoveries a few years later brought a small rush to the area. The Silver King Mine, named after John C. King, who was also sheriff of San Bernardino County, was discovered in 1881 and was Calico's richest mine. In less than a year, dozens of buildings line the main street that sits atop of a mesa between Wall Street Canyon and Odessa Canyon. Many of the mines were consolidated, and in 1888 the Oro Grande Mining Company built a large stamp mill on the north bank of the Mojave River and connected the new mill to the Silver King Mine by a 10-mile-long narrow-gauge Calico Railroad. By the late 1800s, the Calico mining district became one of the richest in the state. In the mid-1890s, silver dropped in value from $1.31 per ounce to just 63 cents per ounce, causing the mines and town to become all but abandoned as silver mining was no longer profitable. In 1917, a cyanide plant was built, recovering more silver from the Silver King Mine dumps, which did revive the town for a short time, but by 1935, the town was almost entirely deserted. Well, welcome to Calico Ghost Town. Let's check it out. With the architecture around here, you can actually look at the buildings and tell if they're original or not. So pretty much, any of the wooden buildings that you see have been rebuilt at some point. There was a fire in the 1800s and something. I'll put that year up here because I can't remember. So pretty much the town burned down. So some of the townspeople were smart and they built buildings like this, which are made from adobe. Now the adobe buildings, of course, survived the next round of fires that happened, where once again the wood buildings did not. So as we walk around town, we'll get to see, adobe buildings. And those are going to be some of the more original ones. Now, a lot of the wooden buildings, of course, were built still a long time ago by Walter Knott when he restored the town. So this adobe building looks like it was 2 stories to me. Don't know what it was, but now it's leather works and pretty neat stuff in the store there. One of my favorite shops, Calico Woodworks. It's closed for 20 minutes. Dude probably had to go to the bathroom. That's okay. And some of the buildings like this one that may or may not be original, if it's not original, this is an amazing recreation. And I don't know, this building doesn't look to be in use today, but it's probably one of the one of the better looking buildings here in town, in my opinion anyway. So right next to the restaurant, we've got the fire hall building, and we've got this nice old fire pumper here, water pumper, fire engine. And then there's more of a hand cart one there in the back. Some antique fire extinguishers, that's pretty neat. Yeah. You know, if you have a chance, check out the Calico photo studio. One of these days, the wife and I are going to go in here and do one of the old-timey photos. I think that'd be quite a bit of fun. Coming back up the street, you've got your town hall, which is like informational things. Lane's General Merchandise, which is an incredibly cool store here. And you've got the Lane House Museum, again, one of the more original buildings, with a lot of cool cacti, that's the word, there you go. Some cool cacti growing out of the ground. And this pole, it's not original, that's just holding the wall up. The adobe may not be in the best of shape. Lucy Bell Lane, she actually lived here. I'm going to stop right here. I'm not going to read that to you right now. You can just pause it if you want to read it. Okay. Anyway, this was Lucy Lane's home. Let's have a walk through. Having spent nearly 70 years living in Calico, Lucy Bell King Lane is one of the most cited spirits in Calico. When Lucy was 10 years old, she moved with her parents, 2 brothers, and a sister to Bismarck, which overlooked the town of Calico. To get to school, Lucy would have to slide down the steep slope to the Calico schoolhouse in the morning and make the exhausting hike back up the hill afterward. At age 18, she married John Robert Lane, and together they opened General Store in Calico. There's Lucy Lane's bathroom. Not actually bad considering the time period, you know. I mean, obviously, you know, the toilet, the sink, they're not going to be from 1880s, but at some point, of course, they would have been added. Lucy and John prospered, but when the silver market began to decline, they left Calico in 1899 and moved to Lytle Creek and operated a mountain resort, only to return in 1916, and they made their old store their home. 4 years later, they moved into the old courthouse and post office building. Her husband John died in 1934, but Lucy would continue to live a long life, staying in the same house until she died in 1967 at the age of 93. Today, their old home has become a museum that shows how the Lanes lived. The little kitchen with the stove. It's truly amazing that these artifacts were able to be saved over time. Town of Calico before the fire of 1887. So there you go, 1887. And here you can see the old schoolhouse, which, like I may have mentioned or not yet mentioned, but will mention later in the video, the recreation that's back there is pretty well spot on. Whenever you see a chain on something like this, what do you think it's for? Do you think it's to keep people out? Or do you maybe think it's to keep whatever's inside from getting out of there? All right, let's go see more of the rest of the town. Side view of Lane's General Store. Again, another old adobe building. So this one would have survived whatever fires happened after 1887. Calico Candle Company, yet another adobe building. And then across the way, we've got Calico Print. I don't really know what's in Calico Print. Pretty cool looking store though. Yet another adobe building in great shape. Little saloon back there and drugstore. Don't really know what's in there, but it's pretty cool looking. I don't know what this building's supposed to be, but let's go have a look. It says come in and see the way it used to be. Something tells me this is going to be some sort of bathhouse. No, it's not. Dentistry. My favorite. For all of you musically trained people, what is that called? So I was just standing here looking at that cool Adobe building, and then I just kind of moved to the right. Let's go check out what's in that window. I think there's a dude there. He's been waiting for his wife to come home for an awfully long time. He must have sent her out shopping or something. Well, and there he is. Yeah, she ain't coming home anytime soon, dude. We got the saloon in here. We'll leave it alone for now. The sign warns us to stay away. You need to get some pizza. This is where you'll find it. This is the Zenda building, the Zenda Mining Company. Let's go check this one out. One of the things I truly love about Calico is not very many places are off limits. As you can see, you're just allowed to climb anywhere as long as you don't see a sign that says to not to. And it's always been that way here. If you venture off the Main Street area, don't forget to have a look at some of the old structures from the backside. You know, some of this wood, I don't really know how original it is, but you can see it's charred and it has been burned. So it might be pretty close to original, but you can see remains of some of the old Adobe buildings, which, like I said before, anything, not probably anything, but pretty much the Adobe buildings is gonna let you know these are the oldest buildings in town and maybe actually original. Take a look at the things beyond Main Street. Don't be afraid to come behind the buildings. Calico's pretty open, so you can kind of wander around and see everything, mostly. But if you come behind Main Street over towards Wall Street Canyon back here, you'll find some neat old artifacts. Again, some old original wagons. They just kind of sneak them in back here. And then while you're back here, you know, take a minute and just have a look at the canyon. But anyway, take a look at the canyon and the unique geology. That's right. I said a sciencey word. Geology. That's back here. Now, when I was a kid, I mentioned I came here a lot when I was a kid. They didn't let you park up top. They made you park kind of in the bottom, and you had to come up from here. And there's a staircase. You can follow that white handrail. There's a staircase that comes up, but there used to be a tram here as well. And I don't know when they stopped using the tram, but that tram went up the side of the canyon here and would take you to the top. I don't remember if you had to pay for it or not. If you did, it was maybe 50 cents a person. But I don't know when they stopped using it, but it was pretty neat. Maybe we can get a little closer and see if we can see more of it. There's a better look at the stairs that you used to take coming up. And then through here, you can kind of see that's where the tram would be. And maybe if we walk around a bit more, we might find more remnants of that tram. This is a nice big corral area, probably used for having hoedowns and hootenannies. Oops. Also watch where you step. There's rocks, and you might trip and fall. We've got the Calico House restaurant. I've never eaten there, but it's an awesome looking building. They have all sorts of food, I think. Okay, so I managed to sneak over a little closer to where the tram was, and here's the actual tramway. And if we sneak on over here, we might be able to find the actual tram cars. Yep, and there they are. And I think they used to go a little further. I'm not really sure. You can see a little building where they used to stop up here at the top. Yeah, the original tram cars are still here. And then you can actually, again, see the stairway that would bring you up. It has gotten windy, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, you can see the stairway that comes up along with the walkway. So if you came up the stairs, you know, this is the view you got when you're coming into town, instead of the view you get now from the bottom of town. Walter and Cordelia Knott came to the desert in 1913 and operated their homestead in Newberry Springs, near Calico. They tried raising chickens but needed more to make a living. In 1915, Walter began working in Calico as a carpenter for one of the mining companies. It's worth noting that his uncle was none other than John C. King, county sheriff and original owner of the Silver King mine. He later worked on a highway project from Newberry to Needles before moving to San Luis Obispo to farm, then finally rented and later purchased his well-known farmland in Buena Park, which later became known as Knott's Berry Farm. Having never lost his love for the desert, Walter Knott purchased Calico and all of the surrounding claims in 1950 and started the long process of restoration. Most of the original town site had to either be rebuilt or restored. Roughly one-third of the town is original, and the remaining newer buildings were reconstructed as close as possible to match what they would have looked like in the late 1800s. In November of 1966, the Knott family donated Calico to San Bernardino County. Calico is now operated as one of the many San Bernardino County regional parks. You can hear off in the distance Doughboy. He does the panning for gold. And let me tell you, it's a lot of fun with Doughboy. Look at this old hotel. Now, I can't remember the name of this hotel, but I'll put it on the screen here. But it's another one of these really old buildings. But a lot of times, two-story buildings in the Old West, and we saw that in Ballarat. The Callaway Hotel, the bottom floor was adobe, the top floor was wood. And here we go, very similar. Your bottom floor is adobe, and your top floor is made out of wood. What's interesting, though, is what's under the porch. Let's go see what's under the porch here. See if we can maybe not get bit by that cactus while we're at it. There's nothing in there, but it could have been, you know, for storage. Maybe they kept their food down there. Let's go mosey on back by Doughboy, who's up there doing his thing. One of the most fun things to do, not because of the panning part, but because Doughboy is just an awesome dude. One of his most famous sayings back there is whatever he finds is his, and whatever you find, that's also his. So if any of you watched my short little video from Ballarat from the summertime, you might recognize the statue of Seldom Seen Slim. He did come down to Calico and do some mining here before he went back up into the Ballarat area and did mining up there, which is of course where he's been laid to rest. The statue's cool because, you know, he's got his ass with him. They managed to keep some of the ruins of the Chinese camp more or less intact here at Calico as well. Somewhere around 40 or so Chinese used to live here that used to work in the mines. But, you know, many mining camps all had Chinese people work in the mines.
We are going to move forward this way. Jade! There's a tarantula!
This is a neat little carriage. We'll call that the sports car carriage. So that's if you want to go, you know, buzzing through town real quick and in a hurry. Hook up this lightweight dude right here. So definitely one of the coolest stores is R&D Fossils and Minerals. We're going to go check that out. But there's all kinds of fun stuff. There's the Calico Rock and Gift Shop next to the sheriff's office. If you're not careful, you end up in there. You know, coming up the back end of town. Just some more cool old buildings. Some noisy dogs are over there. That's cool. There's a golf cart, because every ghost town, you know, needs a golf cart. And back in the distance, you see the schoolhouse, and that place used to have some really good lunches, but it does not appear to be open. So yeah, this restaurant is definitely shut. And they don't want you crossing the bridge to get to it either. Well, that's a shame, because that was pretty good food in there. So the Mystery Shack back here, you know, make sure you do that. The shack itself, it's pretty fun, okay? It's not a huge mystery, but it's really fun. But really makes it fun are the people. The person that did our, you know, show, I can't remember what she called herself, but she had her shirt buttoned, you know, crookedly, and she called herself Crooked Shirt, something like that. But let me tell you, you can tell she really enjoys her job, and she made us all laugh, and she did a fantastic job. Now, these people that are out here working, you know, they do this because they want to do it. So make sure that you go to see these shows, ride the train, Mystery Shack, you do the gold panning thing. Don't be afraid to tip these people. You know, they, like I said, they do this because they want to do it, and they welcome the tips, and let me tell you, it's well deserved. We've got Dorsey's Doghouse, pretty cool. I like this building here with the stairs up the side. It reminds me of an actual old-timey building. You know, and once you get up to the top here, and you see that little mine shack and this big rock, which is really neat, you know, that's it. That's the end of the town. Now, you can go to the left and go over to the schoolhouse, and we'll go do that. There's a lot of these cool cabins that are just kind of tucked into the side of the rock. And this is a pretty neat one, and you can actually see inside. And you can see their bed, table, and chairs. Now, I don't know how much of this is original, but you can also see the little stove. But the cabin itself is original, and it's pretty neat to think that somebody working in the mine actually lived here and then enjoyed some of the other things you can enjoy in the town, you know, maybe at night. So the old schoolhouse has been rebuilt. The original was destroyed in a fire, but the recreation of it's pretty good. If you look at a photograph of it, and I might put it on the screen, probably not, I'll forget to do that. Anyway, it's pretty neat. Can't get to it. The bridge is closed. All the rain we've had, I'm sure that bridge is not in too good a shape. And it's never been a terribly sturdy bridge. But anyway, it's a nice little view of the old schoolhouse, or the old newish schoolhouse that's made to look like the old schoolhouse. Also from this spot, you can see the backs of these buildings from Main Street. All these old walkways that are no longer in use and haven't been, plus the backside of these buildings is just really neat. And you can see the Adobe building, one of the originals, next to the recreated buildings. And when Walter Knott restored the town, he did a fantastic job of making it look as original as possible. Well, I think that's going to do it for our weekend up here at Calico. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. If you wouldn't mind, do the whole subscribe, like, share, comment thing. It really helps quite a bit. I think it's time we're going to mosey on back down to camp and probably have some dinner and campfire and some s'mores. In the meantime, we'll see you later.